in these meetings, so I'm going to make a start. Welcome everybody, a really warm welcome to tonight's Early Years Partnership meeting. We do have 2 hours set aside for this meeting, and just to let you know, we are going to be recording tonight's meeting as well. We always try and record most of the sessions that we do, just for those who can't join us. And obviously, if you want to look back and revisit anything, along with the slides that we will send out to you, then obviously you'll have time to do that after the meeting as well. So as I said, we've got quite a lot to get through to tonight. I just wanted to reiterate the partnership's more about debate and discussion. With that in mind, as I said, there is quite a lot on the agenda, but what I'm going to do, even with the slides that are there, most of those will be for you to read in your own time afterwards. I'll highlight the really important bits. And please, this is your meeting. I want you to debate and discuss the things that you need. Let me just tell you what's on the agenda so you can see the kind of thing that I mean. So I'm just going to do a very, very short update on the schools forum, the changes that have come to that meeting, and some new education strategy boards that have come out of it, and some opportunities for you to get involved. Sarah's going to do a quick update on the early years communities. Again, a bit of a plea, information about what's going on, but we need to really think about next steps for our communities. They're so vital to support our sector. So again, I want your views on that, please. My colleague Emily Hurt, who's Promotions Manager for Public Health, she's going to be joining us to talk to us about an idea that she's got about developing an early years wellbeing framework. So again, an opportunity for you to tell her what you think, whether she's on the right track, whether the thinking is going in the right direction. In a minute, I'm going to discuss again about Schools Forum and the links between this early years partnership meeting and our funding decisions on behalf of early years. So with that in mind, I have a budget update for you. We then have, hot off the press today, got some results from a survey that we sent out to our providers about recruitment and retention. We're hearing that that's a problem at the moment. So again, we want to ask your opinion on what we potentially can do, how we can support. A quick opportunity to talk about some curriculum design coming up to work alongside our Key Stage 1, 2, 3 and 4 colleagues, which is quite exciting opportunity for early years, and like a working group out of that. I have set aside some time for your agenda items. I haven't been given anything in advance, but just to reiterate that this meeting, again, there is an opportunity for you to set your own agenda items, and perhaps that's just an opportunity rather for us to discuss what that might look like and how we can support you in doing that. And then we have key partner updates, and we're aiming to finish as close to 7 o'clock as possible. We certainly won't go past that time. Just a little bit about housekeeping in this virtual world we're still working in. There is the hand up function. Please do use that if you want to come in at any point. Very happy for you to do that as we come along, and we'll also have times as we go throughout the evening, as I said, for discussion, debate and questions. Just to kind of avoid any problems with the internet, if you could keep your videos off at the moment. I love seeing everybody. I wish I could see everybody all at the same time in a face-to-face meeting, but it's just not practicable or possible at the moment. So just for now, unless you're speaking, please keep your videos off and yourselves on mute, but obviously bring yourself off when you want to talk. And we will try and answer as many questions as we can, and obviously have time for that debate. All those kind of questions, discussion points will be circulated afterwards with those handouts, as I said, along with this recording, if you want to look at it again. And I've said about it being recorded. So, like I've reiterated in the past, I think this is the third now version of this new early years partnership meeting, newly formed. It is an open forum for anybody to join who has an interest or works in early years, obviously. And your voice really does matter, as it says on these slides. And like I said, even though we've got a lot of content tonight, we want to hear from you. So why attend in the first place? Why is this different, I think, is the big question to our normal information evenings. Well, we are a partnership, so we work with lots of key agencies and partners across Somerset, including but not limited to health colleagues, area Senkos. Obviously, we have Jane from Take Art here tonight, so the arts. And we have Michelle from Skill. We have colleagues here from EAL services, often SAS pretend as well. We have colleagues from Early Help occasionally, speech and language therapists, and many more. As I said, that list is not exhaustive. And this is about the big ideas. We talk about strategy, we talk about strategic direction. You might have heard that a lot recently from Amelia, who's the new Assistant Director for Education, Partnerships and Skills. But what she says is true. We want to set a strategic direction for education, including, and obviously for us, most importantly, early years, that really does the best for our children, helps the workforce and really sets the direction of travel in terms of what we want for our children. There are links to Schools Forum. I'll tell you a tiny little bit more about that in a minute, and how that's moved forward since the last time we spoke. And then obviously this meeting does give opportunity for us to collaborate, and links to our really crucial early years communities. So these are a few slides that Amelia has been putting out there. These are in the public domain. I've taken the bits and pieces that I think are relevant just to this very short snippet about Schools Forum. But it is building a consensus on the way we work together as wider education partnerships, including early years, right the way through to further education, and obviously special educational needs facilities as well. So you can see top left here, the Somerset Education Strategy Board. So this is newly formed, and we have had representation on there now for early years for a few weeks. So this again is hot off the press. But some of the other forums, obviously we're down here, Early Years Partnership Group. We have the Higher Needs Group, Support Services for Education Client Group, Somerset Teaching and Leading Partnership, and the Somerset Professional and Schools Association, so SASH and SAFTO, if you haven't heard of those before. So they all come together to discuss the big topics, the strategic direction for each of their phases or areas of education, and that feeds back up into Schools Forum. That is the mechanism for again those big ideas and leading the way, so to speak. So this is the representation on the Education Strategy Board. I just wanted to highlight two names off this list. You might recognise others, but Rebecca Fisk has been nominated as an early years representative there. She is an advisory teacher. She's worked in North Somerset before, but has done a lot of work here in Somerset, and you may know her from some of the early years communities events and training. So she is one of your representatives, and if you wanted to get a hold of her, then please do let us know. We can let you have her contact details. And Rachel Parrish, many of you will know that name. Rachel's been a long-standing member of our early years subgroup, which obviously has now disbanded, and it's really great that she can continue that really great experience and knowledge that she's got over the years as part of that group, and now apply it to the Education Strategy Board. So again, those are the two names I just wanted to highlight for you. And as you can see, there's a range of people with a range of experiences and roles that sit on that strategic board. So the Education Board's role, again, it's to look at this strategic direction, the big ideas, and be ambitious so that all stakeholders, apply something that all stakeholders, us, can sign up to and take part in. And again, it recognises the fact that as individuals, we're small, but coming together, we can be stronger, and working together gives us some really great opportunities for further working, being creative as well. Gives us a sustainable future, coming together to discuss funding streams, the ways to make our money go further, and to support each other with the things we really need. Brings together lots of knowledge and skills, as I said, from those people, and gives us a real inclusion mindset. So it means everybody, it's about justice and fairness, and it comes down to how we think about others. So bringing us all together, having a fair representation, means that we get represented well and amongst the bigger conversations. So again, I said it was just going to be a little bit of an overview. That can be read in your own time. And if you want to come back and ask any questions about that, please do. But what I just wanted to pinpoint, which many of you will be very interested in, is there is some work at the moment going on early help. We've had a recent review of all of our early help services by Oxford Brookes University. They have been commissioned to do this rapid research project about the state of the nation in terms of early help in Somerset, and giving us some recommendations of where to go next. There will be further work coming from this, which I would love you to be involved in. If anybody has a real desire to get involved with any kind of working groups, and I don't know exactly what they're going to look like yet, then please do contact me. As I said, I want us to work together on what we can do to improve things for our families and our children across Somerset in the years to come. and the strategy board has already had a presentation and put their views to Oxford Brookes. Okay, I'm going to stop talking for a minute now. Just go back to that last slide. Is there any comments or questions at this point before I hand over to Sarah, who's just going to give you a quick update and opportunity for you to feedback on community work? Hands up if you've got anything. If you want to bring yourself off camera, you're very welcome to. Okay, I can't see any hands up at the moment. Please do come in at any point. Please do use the chat function as well if you want to put any questions in the chat. But for now, I'll hand over to Sarah.
Hello everyone. You'll have to bear with me because I've literally just run in through the front door after being over to Glastonbury. So just bear with me a sec while I get my bearings. I'm here to talk to you about the early years community. So Alison just wanted me to put together for those, if you haven't heard about our early years communities, what it's all about. So basically we have 11 early years communities across the county, and each have a group of practitioners who form, for want of a better word, a committee, and they are essentially the voice for those providers in that area. The leads represent the different early years sector, schools, nurseries, preschools and childminders, and we're also introducing health links there as well. So the purpose of them is to streamline good practice, identify effective ways to move forward, provide CPT opportunities. I always think of the scooter test when I do that. And empower providers to be able to access resources and training that they need. So these are the aims, that quite overarching aims, is all about, the community is all about raising achievement levels or attainment levels and supporting children to have those good levels of development. It's about definitely supporting you individually as providers and staff members working with children, and to provide continual professional development and opportunities for you to access those training events at little or no cost. It's also about providing peer-to-peer support and learning. As always in early years, it's about talking about sharing good practice, sharing potentially resources. And each community was started with a small resource bank. So if you don't know what's in your resource bank, do get hold of your early years leads in your community, and I'll have details of those shortly. And your leads also represent you as early years providers and are a voice for the authority. And I think that's really important. You know, as a collective, they are bringing your concerns, is one avenue, of bringing any concerns or wants or needs to the local authority, alongside, opportunities like this at the partnership meeting as well. Thank you, Alison. So just to give you a little bit of an update of what's been happening, these are just a handful of what's been rolled out. There was Frome and Shepton rolled out Neil Griffiths training, which I understand, I couldn't attend myself unfortunately, but I understand was very, very well received. You've got Greg Bottrell's training. The area Senkos have been delivering autism training through your communities. There's been maths training. Each of the communities, I believe, are starting to set up newsletters and social media. Some communities have already started supporting emotion coaching network meetings. We've put emotion coaching training out there. It's been running for nearly a year. We've still got courses available up until the end of March. And alongside that emotion coaching, we've also purchased this activity pack for every single provider, childminder and reception teacher, and that's My First Emotions Toolkit. We're having a little bit of trouble because of such a large order, and you've probably heard there's a little trouble with a shortage of freights to get them shipped across to us. So we had expected them to be here by now, but we're now being told hopefully early November that they will be here. And that will be an opportunity. Your leads will then invite you to come to a small training session, where there will be some tools to be able to walk through what the emotion toolkits look like and how they potentially can be used and how they can support understanding children's emotions, or children understanding their emotions within the early years provision. So keep your eyes peeled, that will be coming soon. So just on our side, on the local authority side, we have a live survey that goes out to all providers, and it's checked regularly. Our Gemma, who's a little star, checks it regularly and provides the information back to the early years leads about potentially what it is they're wanting in regards to their early years community. And these are just a few of them. So as you can see, the autism and the emotion coaching is up there. However, you know, that's been addressed. The leads across the communities have supported in that being rolled out. We've got some SEND training there, so we just need to identify exactly what that is that providers want, and then we can link early years leads to our area SENCOs. Safeguarding training, we've had a bit of a discussion about that, so I think watch this space. There might be more training out there. So those are just some of the things that we do to make sure that our early years leads are getting ideas of what providers want. So the communities have delivered and will continue to deliver over the next year. So that, as I've already mentioned, the ongoing newsletters, there's Facebook presence, introducing the leads and settings out. Introducing the leads and settings. Setting tongue-tied now. Setting out future training opportunities. EYFS reforms, as you know, as an early years team, we've delivered a lot of that last term. However, there's been requests for bespoke training from some early years communities, which we're working with them to do. Education psychology has been rolled out and it continues to roll out. Yazan is also delivering solid foundations. So as you can see, lots and lots of things are coming through and beginning to come through. And as I say, at affordable, if not free, event. Okay. So lastly, you know, we're in the process of creating, or it has been created, we're waiting for it to go live, a web page. And when you click on that, you will have an interactive map, and where you hover over the element on the map, and it'll bring up who all your early years leads are, and how to get in contact with them. But in the interim, if you need any information, I head up the early years community, and my email's there. And Gemma is assisting me now with making sure all of our early years leads are getting supported as they need it. But we're contactable on either of those email addresses. If anybody's interested in becoming an early years lead, then please do let us know. Ring us up, have a chat about it, and we can give you some more information. And please do link in with your early years leads. They'll probably start to roll out some network meetings just to have conversations about what people want. So do keep an eye out for that, and do feel free to join those meetings in your area.
Thanks, Sarah. I did just want to reiterate a bit of what Sarah was saying as well, and just point out that I think we're pretty unique in Somerset to have this network. That, as far as I know, there isn't any other local authority that does anything like this, and we've certainly had a lot of interest from other local authorities asking what we've done, how we've done it, and wishing to set up something similar. So what I would urge you to do is to get the message out there, champion this. This goes back obviously to 2017 and before that, 2017 being the time we set it up. But we were consistently being told by providers that getting hold of quality CPD was so expensive, you know, and from a capacity point of view, doing it little settings all over the place that, you know, just wasn't able to be funded. In this way, we come together, in larger groups, therefore making it much more affordable. And we have some really hard-working leads. I've got to put a massive thank you out to those people who've championed this and led it. Sarah and Gemma have done a fantastic job in kind of overseeing it all, but it's those people on the ground that are actually doing the meetings and getting all of this CPD set up that, you know, deserve massive thanks from us. So yeah, they can't do it on their own. So if anybody wants to support, then we would welcome that support. And there's quite a lot of funding in it at the moment as well. So there's loads of opportunities to suit your needs in terms of CPD. So just a little bit of a plea and a shout out from me, really. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Sarah. Okay, I'm going to hand over. Any questions before we move on? Again, this is your meeting. If you've got anything you want to say, any comments or things to discuss in terms of the communities, you know, have you been involved with something? Has it been good, or, you know, would you want to see something different? Then please do pop something in the chat or put your hand up and come in at any point. But if we don't have any questions for the time being, I'm going to hand over to my colleague Emily Hurt, who I think is here.
I'm here.
Thank
Hello.
you. Do you want to pop your video on, Emily? Can you do that?
Yeah, I can do that.
Brilliant.
Oh, hello. Did you see me? Yeah. I've also got my colleague Joe Leek here with me.
Fabulous. Welcome, Joe, as well. And Emily and I have been having regular catch-ups. It's been really, really great to really kind of join our heads together in terms of what our focus is for early years and settings, but equally from Emily's point of view, from a health promotion point of view and a public health point of view. And it's great for Joe to join us as well. So I'm going to turn my camera off and I'll hand over to you. I'll move the slide on as well.
Thank you. So yeah, we're here with a proposal for a wellbeing framework. I think it actually follows on quite nicely from really what we were just hearing from Sarah and from Alison. Essentially, we'd like to know if it's useful to have that one-stop shop, that framework that holds all of these things that we're talking about. So we've got our mandated responsibilities, we've got our understanding of need in our local area and our understanding of need in our communities and across the county. Is it useful to have a framework that sets out the things that we're doing well, that sets out the things that are happening across the county, but we don't know how to access, we haven't had engagement or an opportunity to engage before now, and sets out a pathway for improvement? I'm not going to labour too much about the proposal because I actually want to show you the functionality of where we have it working well. So we've got a wellbeing framework in schools. It's based on the principles of the whole school approach. So for an early years framework, we would adapt that to set over the early years framework. And we could talk a bit more about that. We really would like to have your participation and your thoughts. But Joe's going to let you have a look at how the wellbeing framework works for schools, some of the functionalities, some of the benefits, and exactly what we're talking about before we move on with this.
Thank you. Yes, so I'm just going to have to screen share, and hopefully I will then be able to give you a bit of a live demonstration of how the framework works for schools. So in theory, this will all work smoothly. So hopefully you're now able to see what is a landing page to our website. And this is brilliant. Thanks, Emily. And this is where we host all of that information. So it's a bit of a sort of one-stop shop for everything. And I wanted to start with the landing page just to give you an idea of sort of what that looks like at first point. Because I've heard this evening, this will be an opportunity for you to also then go away and look into it a little bit more detail. So we're not going to be able to cover everything here and now. But within the Somerset Wellbeing Framework, we've got some tabs that sit behind that relate directly to the schools framework. So the three that have, well, there's four that would be of most interest. So we have a background and history to what is the Somerset Wellbeing Framework. And within that process and tab there, it tells you about the launch of the framework. So it's been going since 2018. And it was developed with a range of different partners, such as the Ed Psych Service, CAMS, Children and Young People, Parent Carer Forum, schools and other partners as well. So it's been done in real partnership, and that's where we'd like to look at heading for any future with early years as well. We also have an information tab, as Emily was saying, where we have all of the 8 key principles. Now, we recognise this wouldn't look the same for early years, but we view that it could be this would give us a starting point to sort of view what could look like for an early years perspective. Another area that we have that helps to bring this together to make it engaging, because those other pages offer sort of information sharing where school staff can access those pages and they can view information about each of the 8 key principles. They can view how they can implement them within their schools. And another part within that is that we have a wellbeing audit tool, and this just supports schools to then consider a baseline of where they're coming from and look at developing an action plan for next steps. Now, it isn't about making judgment on whether schools are doing right or wrong, and it's more a personal audit for the schools to be able to view. It also offers an opportunity for schools to then capture what's existing practice that's going really well for them. So it acts as a celebration tool as much as anything. So you'll see down the left-hand side, we've got each of the 8 key principles that are used within the schools process. Now, this isn't an actual score, this is just our School of Public Health, if you like. So we can use this one for trialling different areas and checking out how it works. To help make this a live version for schools, we've incorporated 3 pillars of wellbeing. So we have the pillar of belonging, pillar of relationships, and a pillar of lifestyle. Now, each of these pillars also act as a scrapbook. And so this virtual scrapbook means that schools can capture all of that work and share that with us. Now, that acts as twofold then, because we can then help celebrate with them what's working well. And it also means that should they want to demonstrate what's going well and share that within their school community, then it's all captured together in the one place. You can see in the centre that they have a RAG rating system where there's been some points developed that schools can just ask themselves and to check out. And as well as that, we've also captured the requirements for Ofsted within the top part here. So it's all linked back to a school's curriculum. We do support schools in considering how to get started, and that's all part of those sort of the getting started early pages. And we look at it becoming a real community approach. So it's a catch-all. It's not just about the mental health and emotional well-being of the children and young people, but all of the staff within the school, volunteers, as well as sort of wider community. So looking at after school clubs, and that's starting to expand further with schools wanting to consider peer support with other schools. So I think within here as well, we've got at the bottom some trigger questions, which just helps schools to consider within their own groups, areas that they might want to just check out with themselves how things are for them. And that helps to get started in answering each of the audit tool questions. You can see as well within this, we've got an action plan that helps them consider next steps and prompts them to have a review date as well. So I think that's all we wanted to share on this part. For now, was there anything else, Emily, that you'd like us to cover on there at the moment? Otherwise, I'll stop screen sharing and hand back to the slides.
Yeah, thanks, Jo. No, that's really helpful. So that was just a bit of a walkthrough about what we've offered to schools. So, and within that, if you consider that all schools are having an equitable offer, so there'll be some schools that hear about things through different routes, but by having this one-stop shop, they're actually all able to hear about things that are available to them. And I think that that's what we'd like for early years. We'd like to put emotion coaching in, for example, the physical activity audit that I know you'll be familiar with. We'd like that to form part of the offer within the Wellbeing Framework, because we can identify where there's gaps, where there's potentially like settings that aren't able to engage or struggling to engage, and we can look at how we can resource and support those, so we can move forward with everybody in terms of developing well-being and improving health. Could probably move on to the next slide. Oh, there we are. Thank you. So this was just a suggestion. If we were looking at a whole setting approach for the early years that precedes the whole school approach for schools, we could have it under the principles of unique child, positive relationships, enabling environments, learning and development, some familiarity with the early years framework. So some of the detail that Joe's obviously taken us through would be adapted for the early years, and it'd be very much built with you, with consultation and support. If this can be useful, I think we can move on. Yeah, we just set out the proposal. Would a wellbeing framework for the early years be useful? Excuse me. Would it provide a one-stop shop for individual settings, communities to review your strengths, for you to assess where you are, identify your needs and where you may want to focus and where we may be able to support focus? And obviously some of the objectives would be to align to our mandated responsibilities and any targets or targets within areas for universal targeted specialist provision and in intervention opportunities. And I'll give you an example. It might be that there's a universal or a targeted or specialist opportunity for oral health, which is recently mandated in the EYFS, and we would be able to put that into the wellbeing framework, so you could assess what you're already doing or what is available for you to do to achieve that in Somerset. Okay, I think there might be, yeah, again, just looking at the outcomes, I think we can probably just move on really. That's it. Just to the outputs and collaborations. This is just some of the suggestions of how we can link up some of the things that have already been doing well, some of the things that we may assess as actually needing maybe some more support or some more pathways to improvement, and some of the key people and relationships that can be supported within this framework. So yeah, we'd be really keen to hear your initial thoughts, or would you like to be involved in maybe an initial meeting to discuss it further, to look a little bit more, and we can certainly make it available for you to look at the schools framework in the meantime, just to sort of see whether it would be something that's got the functionality that you think would be a benefit. And obviously that's the site that it would sit on. Hopefully there's some things on there that you will be familiar with, whether it be the maternity toolkit, parent carer toolkit, or mental health toolkit, or various other ones, but there would be a tab on there for early years framework. Okay.
Thanks both. Yeah, opportunity now for you to kind of put your views in. Please do use the chat, put your hand up, etc. if you'd like to come on in. Just initially though, as a show of hands, who here in the room feels that this would be a helpful tool or resource for early years settings across Somerset? If you could just pop your hand up if you think that it would be helpful. Okay, got quite a few. Yeah. Brilliant.
Thank you. Yeah, great to see. I saw a comment come in actually.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Really lovely to see that support. Thank you.
And if anybody wants to come in or talk, bring themselves onto camera or off mic, then please do feel free, or as I said, pop your chats in the comment. So I've had one from Taunton Opportunity Group. This is great. I think it would be a great idea to have a one-stop shop for health and wellbeing. That's great. Thank you for that contribution. That's brilliant. And do you think, I mean, Emily and Joe have clearly put a lot of thought into this based on experience of working with the schools. This has been now around for a couple of years now, hasn't it, Emily?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's well received, I believe, by the majority of schools who used it.
Yeah, we've got over a third of Somerset schools have signed up and are actively using it.
Brilliant. Excellent. Okay. That we do have some hands up. Is that people wanting to come in, or are those legacy hands up? Just have a look. It's got, Sarah, did you want to come in? Your hand? Oh no, your hand's gone down. Sophie, did you want to come in? Sophie Furs? Or Liz, we've got up. I think they're legacy hands. Okay, no problem. Thank you so much, Joe and Emily, for your time. you're obviously very welcome to hang around and listen to the rest of today's content. There might be some questions at the end, but equally we can obviously forward those on to you another time if you need to leave us. So, but thank you ever so much. We look forward to working on this as we go ahead.
Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, real key bit of our early years partnership meeting, making sure that you are all kept informed about our early years funding and central spend. I've done a little bit of information on this in the past. I'm not going to completely reiterate what I've said before. There's a few extra bits that I've added in just for your awareness raising, really, and information and experience in this. Our subgroup colleagues, most of them had worked in the subgroup for years and years and have gained really valuable experience over those years, because the early years funding block, or DSG, the designated school grant, is incredibly complicated. And when it comes to early years and working out our portion of the pot, it gets even more complicated still. So what I wanted to do is just make sure that I was adding some things in at these meetings to build up your experience. But if anybody feels that they would like some targeted training on any of this, then please do let me know. There is some capacity at the moment in terms of the way that Schools Forum is being set up to actually give some support to anybody who would like to know more about our budgets, and so therefore feel more informed about what I'm telling you. But just to give a very quick overview again, so the early years block is the proportion of the dedicated schools grant, you often call DSG, and that's allocated to early years, and we get your hourly funding rate from that. So but in addition to that, there is funding within that early years block for pupil premium, early years pupil premium, and early years disability access fund as well. So all of those pots of funding come from that DSG pot. Local authorities across the country are able to retain a maximum of 5% of that pot as it comes into the local authority, the pot of funding for 3 and 4 year olds. Okay. However, in Somerset, we choose to retain the minimum 3% because we feel it's very important, being one of the lowest funded providers or local authorities rather in the country, that we give the majority back to you. So we do just retain that 3%, and we use that 3% for essential central services, which I've presented about in the past. The current early years, oh, sorry, I moved on too far. The current early years block at this moment in time stands at £29,380,600. But this does obviously vary, and it does adjust against census figures. And like I explained last time, because of COVID, we're doing that slightly differently at the moment. We're going on our actual figures from each term rather than going on the January census, but that will change back to just going on the January census from next year. Hence why it's so important that if you have children booked in, you actually record them on the January census, because that is the moment in time where our funding rate actually does get decided. So in December last year, the funding rates for the current financial year were published, and as you were made aware at the various information evenings, obviously our hourly rates did increase at that point. So just to kind of highlight the fact that coming up in December this year, there'll be another point in time that the DFE will tell us whether our funding rate has increased. We don't know whether that's going to be the case yet. We really hope that it does. We've certainly said at every opportunity how low we feel that the funding rate is and how much strain it is putting on our providers. So we will hear about that in December this year. And on the back of that, hopefully by January, mid-January, we'll be able to let you know how that equates into your hourly rates. So just to remind you, that central spend, that 3% that we retain, goes on a variety of things, including that really essential pot of sustainability funding for those settings who really are finding financial struggles. And obviously you can apply for that via an application process. Our early years intervention budget, a proportion of that goes towards our early years communities. You've heard how important that is. Make sure that they are funded adequately to put on those really good quality CPD events. Things like All Emotions Are Okay, that has been funded through that pot. We do fund the checking of the entitlements, which, as you can imagine, is really important. We want to make sure that you get your entitlements on time and that all of the admin that's sat behind that, and that takes an incredible amount of hard work by the entitlements team in local authority, June's team that is, so that money goes towards that. We then have money towards safeguarding, advice for early years and support, English as an additional language, various translation, interpretation and support services. And then last but not least, a contribution to the area Senko team for obviously the crucial work that they do to support children with special educational needs and disabilities. I appreciate this is small, so I will just reiterate what I said at the beginning. These slides are coming out to you so you can scrutinise these, but just bear in mind that these are as of month 6, so we still have 6 months to go. And for anybody who's had experience of being in early years subgroup in previous years, you'll know that this will change. The figure down in the bottom right hand corner is our current total pot of early years funding. And as you can see, the various elements, including the entitlements, the 15 hours for 3 and 4 year olds, that's the universal hours, also the additional, the 2-year-old funding, sustainability I've talked to you about, the disability access fund and the pupil premium sit there as well, and then all of those other things that I've just discussed with you. So I don't want to brush over them, obviously very important, but just to give you a very big pinch of salt that these figures will change. So that's as it stands. What we want to be able to do as accurately as possible is forecast what that means for us come year end. At the moment, the figures that we're looking at in terms of looking at what claims have come in previous funding terms, etc., lead us to believe that this is the picture right now. But again, that big pinch of salt always has to be in the back of our minds. So just to explain what I mean by that, as you'll see on this particular slide, and again, apologies that the figures are small or the numbers are small, but at the moment we are projecting an underspend, a significant underspend of just below 700,000. Now, there may be people here, as I said, from previous subgroups, but certainly Sarah, my colleagues and my team will know that it's very rare that this actually turns out to be the actual picture, because claims vary hugely from term on term, and obviously it does depend very much on those census information. So due to the way that we are funded retrospectively, we actually won't know that this will be the case or what the case actually is until July next year. Okay, so you can just start to see the complexity of these budgets, and accurately forecasting can be an absolute minefield for our finance colleagues and for us to obviously unpick on your behalf. So as I said, it's not validated by the DFE until the following July. So that's following July 2022. And any underspend, I must stress as well, if there is an underspend, it will come back to you. Okay, so we set a contingency budget because of that fluctuation. But if we end up with an amount of money left over, that will be paid back to settings, prorated on depending on their claims, on an individual basis. So we of course will let you know if that is the case, and I will update you at the earliest partnership meetings to come. A very quick overview there for month 6. As you can see, we'll start to get a bit of a clearer picture as we go into the new year. But any questions at that point on the budget, please again use the chat function or pop your hand up. Any recent hands gone up, anybody? I'm struggling to monitor both at the same time. I don't think there is there? Somebody shout at me if not, but otherwise I'll move on. Okay, so moving on to recruitment and retention, I really would love, or the team would love you to feedback on this, because we're going to be putting our heads together to try and think about how we support you moving forward. So we have been told from various different providers, looking at kind of social media posts, looking at the amount of jobs that are out there, that recruitment and retention is a bit of a sticky problem for everybody at the moment, and becoming more difficult term on term. So we have done a survey. We felt it was important to really get the accurate picture of this on the ground. So this is hot off the press today. We had 121 survey returns, which is fairly good out of obviously a cohort of 500 odd providers. So not too bad on a return front. And we've got 38 settings out of those 121, so that's pretty big percentages. Out of that 31, 69% are actually, sorry, 31% are advertising vacancies at the moment. So, you know, quite big proportions here. So we asked our settings currently advertising vacancies if they're having difficulty recruiting. 76 said that many candidates were without qualifications, without appropriate qualifications. Not enough candidates, 72% said that. Other jobs and other sectors being more attractive at the moment, 69%. 66 said low pay is an issue. 62% said many candidates were unsuitable, and then 10% said other reasons. So I wonder whether that rings true with any of the experiences that you are having. And again, starts to, get us thinking about the kind of things that we might be able to do to support moving forward. Hard to fill vacancies then. 31 settings said that certain vacancies were hard to fill. Most of those said that level 2 vacancies were hard to fill. We had 52% down the bottom that said other qualifications. But as you can see, QTS, EYT as well, that's early years teachers and qualified teacher status candidates, 19% said they were really, really hard to fill. We wondered whether there had been a change, or whether people had seen a difference in the last 12 months in the number of people applying for vacancies. So people came back to say that 50% had seen a decrease in the number applying, but only 5% had seen an increase. So you can see that this picture really is showing itself across the board. Reasons for that decrease included a lack of suitably qualified candidates, so not enough people out there basically to fill those positions. And some of the 5% came back to say they had received or seen an increase, receiving applications from candidates with level 3 social care qualifications instead of childcare qualifications. Just to, a point of welfare requirements there, just make sure that you double check the list of appropriate qualifications for early years, just to make sure that it's, you've got it completely right there. And if you need some support, then we can give you that information. So what would help to retain early years staff? Again, I'm going to open this out to you guys as well in a minute, but these were the range of answers that came back. So early years work is being valued by society more. And I think we've got a lot further since COVID, or certainly during COVID, where people realise actually how important it is that we have a really robust childcare sector, because ultimately those parents of those children cannot work without it. Recognition for achievements and commitment. Perceived lack of it, I presume that means. Increases in pay, an increase in minimum wage, making it difficult to retain those staff. Increase in pay for taking on roles with extra responsibility. So being able to reward our teams adequately. Having an adequate supply of bank staff or supply staff. Awareness of career paths and opportunities. What would help to retain fully funded training, or making new entrants aware of professional demands. Okay, I've got a comment coming through, or a couple of comments. I'll just go to those now. So, sorry, bear with me. Okay, so Taunton Opportunity Group said we have started an apprenticeship at TOG, which is working really well. That's great. I think apprenticeships are fantastic ways of growing your own staff. Bernie's come in and said we've taken on 3 apprentices to cover the level 2 positions. We were lucky to take on a level 3 as well. Okay, that's great. I think you're sitting in the minority of being able to obviously have some really successful recruitments there. That's great news, Bernie. So Rachel Gabacole actually said, we're now seeing adults apply for level 2 early years qualifications again. Thank you to those settings who have given voluntary placements to support those adults who wish to change career. And we're also seeing more interest in apprenticeships again. Okay, so we've got a new hand up. Apologies, I just need to, my screen's too small. Louise Hannah, that would be a perfect time for you to come in. Take yourself off video as well if you'd like to, so everyone can see you.
Hello.
Hi, Louise.
Hiya, how are you?
Good.
So much. I just wanted to say before I start, I was so impressed with how much training is going on out there, like you were saying, Alison, in the networks. And absolutely, I've said this before, I've worked in Bristol City Council a lot of my life, and they really don't have, it is envious what you have. So I kind of really have a bit of a query in this department, not just like recruitment of staff, although there is something on that in a minute, but retention and also further development opportunities. So we got our level 2 and 3, and that's fabulous. But we also know that we offer, level 4s and 5s, low cost or free within the community. And also we have the degree program as well, and we know about the benefits of graduates within the workforce. And my concern is that is dwindling, really, and what can we do about that, and what can we do to promote that? So, I mean, Rachel can tell you more about the level 5 that she runs, but that had very low take-up, regardless of how it's funded. And I wonder if there's more we can do around, I was a practitioner for 5 years and worked in the field for 13 years, about protecting our staff from burnout, in terms of them being able to progress. So, for example, I did a degree while I was an early years practitioner, and then I was able to be an Ofsted inspector later on and able to lecture. Is that further kind of stuff? So that's that. Yeah, so kind of a query about that, really. And the other thing I wanted to say to people is we had somebody recently email me a job vacancy that they had, and I just wanted to offer that as an opportunity, because I was able to advertise that to my students, and my students are always looking for new roles. So we have between about 30 and 40 students on programme, and I'm sure Rachel has the same as well, people who are kind of like looking for new employment opportunities. So please do let me know if I can help in any of those ways.
That's fantastic, Louise. Thank you. Yeah, I think from what you were saying before, it's really kind of identifying those varying and different career paths, really promoting the fact that there isn't just one way of working through early years. It's a career. There's lots of different opportunities, aren't there, for gaining experience that actually will take you on to other things as well. So that's definitely something that we could do collectively in a working group, isn't there, to put that career pathway down. And I know there's been some work done from my team on that in the past, which we can just take forward. That'd be great. Thank you. Rachel, did you want to come in as well at that point?
I just wanted to say, yeah, thank you, Alison. I just wanted to say that those level 2 adults that are coming through are really keen to get going with their early years career. They've had the pandemic. They have realised that actually being at home with their own children has made them reevaluate what they want out of life. And quite often they're recognising that they actually would like to work in early years after all, and we're seeing more and more of those come through. So that may be something we can bring into a working group about how do we support those people with progressing on through their early years careers.
That's really positive news, actually. I mean, we had presumed that it was pretty dire out there, but actually that gives a different slant, which is really, really great. Thank you. Somebody from Taunton Opportunity Group wants to come in.
Hi, Alison. I just wanted to say that ours is a mum whose children's gone to school as well, who's doing her apprenticeship at TOG.
Brilliant. Yeah, and I think we were trying to think of more creative ways of trying to support settings to kind of advertise positions like that. So if you've got parents who want to come back into the workplace, then it's growing your own, isn't it? And actually knowing what opportunities there are to get them trained up as well. Suddenly you've got somebody who's not only really willing, but also has an opportunity to get a qualification alongside. I mean, that's really that's really positive stuff, isn't it? Brilliant. Thank you. Really appreciate those contributions. Anybody else want to come in on that just before I move on a bit? Okay, so further on the survey. Sorry, Lara, did you want to come in? So I hope I've pronounced your name right. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I had trouble pushing my hand up button then for a moment. I just wanted to add on to what Louise and Rachel were saying, really, in that we're just going to revalidate the Early Childhood Studies degree moving forward, and we're hoping to revalidate that in the new year. And what we're quite interested in as well for people that are already working in early years is to an early childhood, whether they are practitioners or whether they're in more strategic roles, is if there is a market there for people that want to do more modular stuff. So taking on a whole degree is quite an undertaking, particularly if you're managing other commitments outside of your working role. So we wondered if there would be an opportunity for us if we had some bite-sized degree level modules at level 4, 5 and 6, whether we could use this forum, and if you'd be open to us just asking some core questions about what people want, because ultimately what we know is we want this workforce to aim higher, and we want them to build towards, you know, those graduate opportunities. But at the moment, it's like you know, it's too big. The mountain's too big for them to climb. So we were just wondering about if we chunk that down a bit, and we're at a point of revalidation. But at the moment, we need to know what people want. So whether you'd be open to supporting us asking a few questions of this network.
Absolutely, more than willing to do that, and we have other opportunities for you know, to get that out wider as well. So we have our information evenings coming up next half of this term, after half term, and we also have our link worker approach as well, so we can send things out to settings as well. So absolutely, it would be a perfect opportunity to ask those questions. I think that sounds like a great opportunity, really, to have that modular kind of specialism almost, isn't it? Kind of taking the bits that really do interest you and want to take you on the career path you're looking at.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you. Nice to see you. Emma Clements has got a hand up. Do you want to come in?
Oh, hi. Yeah, it's just I've gone back a little bit with. I've just made connections with the local secondary school, and I'm going in to speak to them from a career, trying to get people interested from an earlier age as well, to try and get the people into the sector. So I'm taking placements on and going into the school to speak to the health and social care course, to hopefully for them to realise what, you know, the different job roles out there. We've also had some apprentice, and I've had some student placements from local colleges as well. So they have, you know, but just another area really to try and tap into, which hopefully will have a positive effect.
I think starting to kind of raise that awareness at an early age, you know, about the kind of possibilities for careers and stuff. I think it's so important, isn't it? Because you're really just setting that seed, because it's such a positive sector to work in. Obviously, it is, because we're all here. But you know, we want to get that message out to our, you know, younger people as well. Yeah, Ali Highfield's just put something very pertinent in the chat, actually, because we are taking part, Emma, and for those of you who are interested, in the virtual careers fair on Thursday next week as well. So yeah, that's an opportunity for us to get to them at a younger age. Emma, can I just ask, where do you work? What's your role?
Manager at preschool in Wellington.
Brilliant, Emma. I knew I recognised your name. I just didn't want to get it wrong, that you were from a college or something.
No, I'm a manager from preschool Wellington. So I've made links with the school, and the school are very keen and very pleased. And it was just there were several reasons for it, really. It was also an advertising point of view from us as a preschool, and I figured younger children that have families and things like that, if they've maybe taken on a role in a preschool, they might, you know, use us from that point of view, and then hopefully we can give something back to them, and hopefully get some more people into the sector, because that's what I'm finding. There just doesn't seem to be the people out there. So yeah, that was just something that, you know,
I think that's great, because it's preemptive, it's creative, it's doing something slightly different. But as you say, it's getting in there at an early opportunity to hopefully kind of avoid that issue later on. Tog, do you want to come in again, Tog?
Yeah, it was just to say that we have students with us as well from Bridgewater and Taunton and Richard Hewis. We've got one coming in next week from Strode College in Street. You can put your names down on all these colleges. You can be put on the list to have students, and they will get in touch. The students will get in touch with you directly to come to your early years setting. So it's just worth getting in touch with the colleges and putting your names down.
Great tip. Thank you. No, that's brilliant. Just going back to a couple of other comments that have been made. So Liz has come in and said, many are put off from early years teaching training because of wages. I'm an early years teacher. We spend the time at uni as an NQT, but are paid far less after qualifying, not much more than minimum wage. Also, we are employed in other positions rather than employed as teachers, which doesn't recognise our expertise. Yeah, absolutely. Funding is the root of all evils at the moment, Liz. I can't reiterate enough how many times we try and say, or we do say it to our DFE colleagues, we're continuously campaigning to say this is just not enough. This isn't kind of facilitating the wages that we know everyone deserves. All I can say is, and I've said it in the past, lobby your MPs, because your voices often are heard much louder than a local authority who obviously has invested all this in this stuff anyway. So yeah, if you want some information about how you do that, then obviously contact contact us as well. Okay, great. So yeah, we talked about the careers fair, and Ali's put a link to that in the chat if anybody's interested. And also Heather, thanks for coming in. You're interested in offering an insight into early years and would like to be part of an early years talent academy, please email, and Heather's put her email there. So yeah, the talent academy I think is an opportunity for you as a setting to have students there, young students who are potentially looking at a career in early years. So if you'd like to offer your services or get some more information, please email Heather. Her email's in the chat. Okay, and Rachel's just come in. Please do email us if you think you'd like to offer a student placements. Okay, so Bernie's come in. I did the early years degree, then EYPS and PGCE back under Tony Blair's 10-year childcare strategy in 2008. There was money put in to get graduate-led settings. How can this be achieved without the same funding? I totally agree, Bernie. There was no real recognition of any qualification above level 3. Don't disagree with you at all. I think again it's coming back to that funding issue. We need as many voices as we can to lobby that. Emily, many are put off because of seeing how many are burnt out in the field, long hours and low pay. Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's a vicious cycle, isn't it? Because you don't have the money to recognise that or have some additional capacity, then that absolutely can be the case. And Heather's quite rightly come in and said we're offering free advertising. We are at the moment for early years vacancies on DAS jobs. So if you would like to advertise for free, then please do email us at earlyyearsteam@somerset.gov.uk. Louise, I think you wanted to come back in.
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to add something there when someone said about the post recognition to the level 3 qualification. So absolutely right. So like Laura said, we've been revalidating our degree. So we've been doing some extensive research into the national picture, into what it looks like, you know, and the recognition. And since 2017, they've dropped all workforce development. There's been no recognition in the early years sector. In fact, for anybody who listens to what our government say, they will know they'll be messing around with, they've been talking about messing around with ratios again, which feels like a bit of a disrespect to the sector. So it is a massive political hot potato, but nobody wants to pay for it. And, you know, that's neoliberalism at its finest, isn't it? But anyway, we are where we are. We're introducing something called the graduate competencies, which are they're not recognised at level 6. So what we're pushing for as a network, there's a degree network that we're part of, like a national organisation, and we're pushing for those to be recognised by the DFE at level 6. So I can kind of let you know how that debate evolves really, but at the moment those graduate competencies are recognised at level 3. But there is kind of like an add-on, if you like, an extra certificate. So I won't take up too much of the meeting talking about it, but I just wanted to let you know that that is coming within the pipeline.
That's great. I mean, this is a real priority and an issue for the sector, you know, across the board, as we're obviously hearing, and many of you have put comments in. So I see this coming up on agendas in future partnership meetings. So thank you for that, Louise, and really would welcome any contributions on that in the future. Thank you, everyone. Tog, you've got your hand still up. Is that Legacy Hand? Do you want to come back in? I think
Sorry, I'll take it down now.
No, don't worry. I just didn't want to miss out if you wanted to come back in again. Okay, just move the slide on again. So there were some ideas that came through from the survey of things that could be done nationally to help. A lot of the things that really echo the conversations we've just been having, really raising the profile of early years as a career and not a fallback option. Obviously better paying conditions, and quite rightly, as someone said in the chat, as important as teachers and recognised so. Yeah, increase in funding rates. That, as I said, it's the root of all evils at the moment. Raising awareness of the importance of early childhood education. Yeah, I mean, I hope and I like to think that the EYFS 2021 has really highlighted that again, and the importance of knowing child development and therefore being able to really support our youngest of children at the most crucial stage of their education. Better early years qualifications and careers pathways, and I you know, really heartened to hear the colleges putting on all these kind of different flexible options. I think that does sound like that is actually happening on the ground, which is great. Valuing early years staff and careers more realistic information in schools about early years as a career. Yep. And again, going back to what Emma was saying earlier about going into schools and being proactive, I think that's fabulous, and help with training or retraining from other careers. Louise has just popped something in the chat. Happy to talk to teams or individuals about training at level 4 and above. Thank you. And she's got her email address there. Okay, so I think we've probably covered this, but if there's anything else that people want to come in, any suggestions, if anybody would like to be part of a working group moving forward to put some things into place to support, we do have a small pot of funding at the moment which can be utilised to support our workforce. We're going to have to be creative about it because it is only small. But if anybody's got some ideas that they think would be good, we can do it in collaboration together. I would love to hear your views. We would love to hear your views. So please do email through. Okay, just conscious of time, so I'm going to move forward. And apologies, it's a lot of me talking. Actually, I don't normally mean for it to be all about me. It's not all about me at all. You know what I mean? Talking from me. Next thing, this is quite exciting. Again, this has come from the school improvement team largely. So we have a new colleague in education partnerships and skills. If you haven't heard of Amy joins, is our new head of school improvement. So she works alongside me and other colleagues in the education partnerships and skills team. What she would really love to see is us working together collaboratively on on curriculum work, looking at a continuum of curriculum 0 to 19. Now that can be huge, or it would be huge if we tackled everything all at the same time. So what we have thought about as being a really good starting point would be to look at science. And obviously from our perspective in early years, that would be understanding the world. So what does that mean and how can you get involved? Because I really would love you to. At the heart of this is some theory and actually looking at outcomes in Somerset at Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2 and beyond. Our science outcomes aren't as good as other areas of the country. So clearly there's more that we can be doing to think about this. And obviously in early years, we know that we're going to be a really crucial starting point. So this was some research that was done by a guy called Win Harlan about, and his book has been published, Principles and Big Ideas of Science. So this is just to give some context really around this. So it is important to show how scientific big ideas have their roots in children's early explorations, so that teachers, even if not the children, are aware of the contribution of these activities to a developing picture of the scientific aspects of the world around them. So it's starting with early years, and I hope that kind of sums up. That's why I chose that particular quote, because what we're doing in early years is setting that context. We're putting those real first-hand life experiences into place for children, and often that may lead to them having a real interest in science and maybe going into a science type career when they're older. And there should be clear progression, and all of our colleagues in different phases of education need to know, and again going back to raising the profile of early years, they need to know actually why it is we do what we do in early years and how we support children on that journey to progress towards the goals of science as an education. So again, that bottom quote there is indicating the ideas that need to be achieved at various points, identifying them, valuing them, and supporting our workforce to ensure that children get the very best from that. So we want to look at a progressive curriculum. I've just popped the early learning goals from the natural world, which is obviously part of understanding the world, just to show where science really does start to look tangible, for want of a better expression. The Early Years Foundation Stage 2021 really has given some compatibility, for want of a better expression, between early years and our next phase of education in Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2. So we can see science running through very specifically now, and that's through these particular aspects and the early learning goals that we are working towards at the end of reception year. So we are going to be putting a working group into place. I have already talked to a colleague of mine who does some consultancy work for our early years moderation. You may have heard of her, Sue Rayner. She's absolutely brilliant. She's worked with many settings, many local authorities in terms of curriculum planning. And I spoke at length with her the other day. And what we want to do is set up a working group to really start to look at the principles and practice of science in the early years and how that then feeds into later phases. So basically, it's a shout out for anybody who's particularly interested in science, who feels that the provision that their children are getting in their settings is really great, and the outcomes they're seeing and understanding the world are great. So, we'd like to hear what you're doing, the kind of curriculum goals that you're planning for, and how children achieve those in your setting, so that we can share them wider and get this piece of work going. And this will lead to further curriculum work in the future, which is really exciting, as I said, from raising the profile of early years. So my email address is on the screen there. I'll pop it into the chat in a minute, but you will be getting these slides, so please do get in contact if you'd like to get involved. Any questions on that before I move on? Okay, brilliant. So you'll be very pleased to hear that's enough of me talking. Let's move to our partner updates now. I've had some slides through in advance, but there may be others that want to come in. So I'll start with Michelle from Skill, who's got some slides, and I'll do those for her. So Michelle, if you want to bring yourself into video, and brilliant.
Okay,
welcome, Michelle. Yeah, no worries. Thanks. I'll take myself off camera for a minute.
Okay. Right. So yeah, I'm representing Skill. So I'm the lead tutor assessor for Skill. So this is just a quick update about what our current offer is and where we're heading for the future, really just thinking about a few things. So if you'd like to move on, that's great. So we started offering early years apprenticeships about nearly 2 years ago now, and we offer the early years level 2 and early years level 3. And currently, as you can see on the screen, we've got we've got a small number on programme, and we're working with a number of settings across the county. And it's been going great. We had, obviously, through lockdown, we had a few issues with carrying on, but we went virtual, so it was great. But we have carried on, and it's been really good. And we're now at the stage of having for our level 3s going through the endpoint assessment, which has been a huge learning curve for us as a centre, but it is a really rewarding part of the process, I'm finding. So we're currently, with our early level 3s, we had 3 accepted for Gateway, which is where they're ready to go endpoint assessment in the last 10 days, which was really exciting. And their dates are just arranging dates for them to go to actually undertake their endpoint assessment. And our level 2s, we've got 5 who will be going through Gateway in between now and Christmas this year. So it's been really, as I say, it's really great to see the apprentices growing in knowledge and skills, which is the bit I love, because they're all developing greatly. So yeah, so we also run the level 3 teaching assistant apprenticeships as well, and I've got 2 teaching assistant apprentices who are in reception years in school, so that's really helped. They can also join workforce in early years. Okay, so we continue to offer our degrees, and we just started back face-to-face full-time from September, alongside guidance from the University of Worcester. So we've got currently our year 1s who just started in September is a very small group, but we are able to run it with a small group. And then the year 2s who had a very difficult year last year, the majority of them carried on and passed the first year and have moved on to the second year. And then we've got, in our current top-up year, we have 42 on programme. And from my thinking back to when I taught them in the foundation degree, a lot of them are in early years, so that is a real positive that they have continued and they are in early years, and some of them are very keen on their staying in early years sector, so that's really good. And then our Somerset SKIP programme, which is the initial teacher training programme that Skill oversee and run this year, starting in September, we've got 56 trainees, which again is a very big number. Lockdown, I think, encouraged people to apply for teaching for some reason. And then within that, we've got 9 early years specialism of those trainees are doing, 9 of them are doing early years specialism. So that's, again, a really positive thing. Thank you, At. We've continued to provide accredited training courses over the last few years. The one that's mostly linked to early years is I've been working in partnership with our early years Senko team to offer the cash level 3 award for Senkos in early years. We've had 3 cohorts to date. The last one started in February this year. We had 17 on programme, and 12 of those 17 have completed. I'm just waiting for the final few to finish and submit their last bits of evidence, which is really, again, from feedback, it's been really beneficial for those who have completed it. They've learned a lot about their role as a Senko and become more confident in their role as a Senko, which is the whole point of this qualification. And we're hoping to run another cohort in the next 6 months. We're just waiting to arrange some dates with the early years Senko team. We also offer mentoring and leadership qualifications, accredited qualifications. So again, we have done those in the past. So if any of you people want to are interested in accredited courses in leadership or management or mentoring, please let us know. We'll be able to sort something out if we've got the numbers for it. Thank you. And then finally, just our CPD offer. We've continued to deliver the child protection training in-house and as training offer as our normal offer. Introduction to child protection is obviously very popular because all schools and early year settings and other colleges have to attend that one, and just numbers have been increasing virtually over the last year. We delivered them virtually until September, and then we're now back doing some face-to-face ones. So just numbers, we've had 62 early years practitioners attend Introduction to Child Protection in the last 6 months. We've had 10 attend Basic Awareness Child Protection in the last 6 months, and we've now seen an increase in asking for in-house training. That obviously stopped during lockdown, but we can offer that, and we're having an increase in that again now. And we also offer safer recruitment. In the last 6 months, we've had 9 early years practitioners attend that one. We still offer roles and responsibilities of the Equality Needs Coordinator. It's one of the ones that I've developed since working for Skill. That's still on our offer, and we also offer bespoke courses which are advertised on our website. And again, we'll be happy to offer anything that you guys need, really. We're looking at our offer and seeing what needs are out there. We've worked with some of the groups in other areas of like in Froome and things. So just let us know if there's any training that you want, and we'd be happy to talk to you about what your needs are. So that's a quick update from Skill.
Thanks, Michelle. That's brilliant. Yours were the only slides that we received from our partners, but anybody else want to come in and give an update on what you're doing at the moment, or want to ask any questions of our people here tonight? Rachel. You're on mute, Rachel, if you don't realise it. Rachel Gathercole.
Thank you.
It's all right.
I can start talking. I just wanted to say that we've got a couple of open evenings coming up this week. One tomorrow at Bridgewater, one at Taunton on the next day. You need to book in for them because we're being COVID compliant while we're being face-to-face. But if anybody does want to talk about any courses with us face-to-face, then welcome to come on in and we can talk through our offer. Or if you'd like us to do a presentation very much like Michelle's just done in another meeting, then we can also do that for you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Rachel. Good luck with those events.
Thank you.
I had another hand up. I have a feeling it was Jane. Was it Jane?
Yeah, it's me.
Hi, Jane.
This is now the time that I just give a really quick update on Take Art, what we're doing. Okay, cool. So those of you who don't know us, we are an arts organisation. We're based in a barn in South Petherton, and we've just received funding for 2 programmes that will last 3 years, putting early years arts work into early years settings. One of them is called Making and Believing. For those of you that ever met Gina Westbrook, she's retired now, but she came up with the most bonkers names. So one is called Making and Believing, and that's about putting 2 artists into settings, and we're currently working with settings in South Somerset. And the other is called the Sound Waves Project, and we're going to be working in Highbridge. in a setting there, and then we need some more settings throughout the next 2 years. And part of both those programs is we've received funding to run 6-week evening courses for anybody that wants to learn more about early years music. That is accredited by City and Guilds, specifically for early years practitioners to learn more about early years music in their settings. That's all I wanted to say.
That's fantastic, Jane. And how can people get involved? How would they come to us? Would they come to you?
They would. Shall I put my email in the chat?
That'd be brilliant, Jane. Thank you. Perfect.
Great.
That sounds really exciting. Thank you. Stuart from SASP is here as well.
Hello, hi.
Hi, Stuart.
Just a really quick one. We've got a few webinars coming up, and we've actually got a return to our face-to-face workshops as well. So what I will do for everybody is just chuck in the chat box a link to our bookings page where you can just have a look at all the CPD offers that there are around physical activity, just to get you involved in any of those you may be interested in. So this Wednesday coming, we've got a webinar around the Daily Mile, and in November, like I mentioned, we've got the return of our face-to-face workshop, which we're really pleased to be able to get back to doing some face-to-face delivery as well. So I'll put that in the chat box for you. Okay.
Brilliant. Thanks, Stuart. That's fantastic. Hear about that happening still and going back to face-to-face. That's so exciting, isn't it? Brilliant. Thank you. Anybody else want to come in and give any update on what they're doing at the moment? Okay, so it's just open for any other business, really, any discussion, questions or debate that anybody wants to bring up. We've got a good 40 minutes left of the meeting, so if anybody would like to come in and ask anything or debate anything, then please pop your hand up, take yourself a video if you want, or put something in the chat. Stuart's just popped the physical activity opportunities and CPD on the chat and the link to that, which is great. Okay, if there's no other ones, then please, we have come to the end of tonight's agenda. So thank you so much for coming. I hope you valued the input and the information that we've given tonight. And we would love some agenda items for next time. So if there's anything that you would like to bring up for debate or discussion, or to just highlight the great things that you're doing on behalf of children in early years, then please do let us know. We'd love to hear from you. But yeah, thanks for anybody for contributing tonight. I very much appreciate it. I know the team does as well. We do have our information evenings coming up on the 4th and the 9th of November. It is very different content to tonight. So we are making sure that this meeting does stand on its own in order for us to debate things rather than just have information.
Alison, can I just confirm something with you? It's Helen from TOG.
Hi, Helen.
Hi. Do you know the Disability Access Fund? You can only have it per one child per setting, can't you?
I don't believe so. No, I thought any child that's eligible for it, you can get Disability Access Fund. Anybody want to? I'm sure that's the case. It's not just for one child per setting. That doesn't.
I'm sure a couple of years ago when we put in a few, they because obviously all of ours have got special educational needs.
Anybody from my team know that? I haven't come across that, and I'll certainly be asking about that.
I think it's one amount per setting, isn't it, per year?
Yeah.
One amount per setting. Okay.
It's per child. It's per child.
I thought it was per child, but maybe obviously
they have to be 3 or 4 and qualify, don't they? And then a lump sum's paid to the setting.
Yeah, I think it goes with the child.
With the child.
We'll check that for you, Helen, and get an answer back to you specifically. I'll ask June tomorrow. Is that okay?
That's fantastic. Thank you. So it's always
Brilliant.
something that's played on my mind because we've only done one the last 2 years, and I thought, oh, I really need to ask that question
absolutely.
again. Because when I read it as being per child.
but then I wonder when you've got so many at a setting whether
there's a limit. Yeah, absolutely. We certainly don't want it to be not obviously used to its full purpose. So I'll definitely look into that. And Ali, thank you. She's just posted the Disability Access Fund guidance on the chat as well.
Thank you.
But yeah, I'll ask June specifically and get a message back to you, Helen.
That's great. Thank you.
Please use us while we're here if you want to ask anything as well. Thanks, Rachel. There's some people obviously going off now. So yeah, thanks for those who are leaving us tonight. Thanks for joining. We are sticking with virtual meetings such as these at the moment because we feel that it gives more people an opportunity to attend. So I hope that you value kind of the virtual way of working, but similarly, if you would prefer something different, then come through to us and let us know your views on that. And we'll get a meeting date set up for the next partnership meeting in spring term. So yeah, can't believe I'm going to say this, but after Christmas. Ouch. Oh, thanks, Stuart. Thanks for everyone coming through saying thank you. Yeah, Sarah said she personally like the virtual is easier to get to. I absolutely appreciate that. Yeah, it makes it so much more accessible for so many more people, doesn't it? Doesn't look like there's any other questions coming through, so I will say goodbye to everybody. Thank you so much. Please do get in contact if you need anything further. Thank you.